is very, very different from where we were maybe 100 years ago, 80 years ago, or even 50 years ago. And if I could just talk a little bit about 80 years ago and talk about my mother, what do you think her time looked like? Right? We're talking about evolution. How do you think it was during her time? Did you think she had all the opportunity to do whatever she wanted from the country that she was, from the city that she was, compared to where we are today? No. She wasn't awarded. She's a very smart lady. She knows every single road in Malaysia. She has an elephant's memory. She doesn't drive, by the way, but she's my GPS. And she is so good at arguing her case that very often we tell her, Mom, you should have been a judge, or you would have been a top-notch lawyer only if you had been given the opportunity. On the other hand, was my aunt from the city, also 80 years ago. The difference between both these women was my aunt had the opportunity to go into college. And she went into college. She was a bright student. And she had a conversation with her parents and she said, okay parents, I'm ready to go for college. And they go, okay, good. And she goes, I want to be an architect. And oh my God, they had days of fights, they had days of discussions, they had days of disappointment, and the entire community back then used to get involved. Oh my God, she's getting into a field. Architecture is for men, it's not for women. Did you ever imagine that there was such a thing back then? This is for men, this is for women. Well, it existed, clearly did. But my aunt was no one person that was going to take no for an answer. And she says, okay, if you think architecture is bad, well, guess what? I'm going to be an engineer. And she fought not only her parents, her community, her friends. She was the only woman in her class filled with men. She even got requested by the principal back then, you will not go into a canteen that has men in it. So she used to carry her own tiffin and eat her own lunch by her own self because she was the only woman there. And today she's a successful engineer, of course retired now, but she lived a dream. She did what she wanted to do because she had the resilience, she had the abilities, she had the consciousness of what would not stop her, and she knew she was a true, intelligent, intellectual individual, capable and as capable as a man to be making it in a field that was labeled back then as a men's field. So as we progress through this entire day, the one thing that I think we should leave with is two things, right? First is gratitude for where we are today. I think the evolution has been a good one. We don't necessarily belong where we are, but at the same time, it's important to look at history to tell ourselves whether we're doing the right things. Back then, right, Virginia Woolf, she said, for most of history, Anonymous was the woman, meaning to say that it was assumed that women played no role in history. Not very many history books mention about the sacrifices that women have made, right? If you look at it, one of the people that I'm very proud of being a Malaysian is Sybil Kartigesu, who was in, fought the World War. If you read about history and Malaysian history, right, she was an informant. She had a little radio, she was a nurse, she used to dispense medications for all the injured people during World War II, when Malaysia was also under the attack of the Japanese, right? And she had a little radio called Josephine. And she used to relay all of the information that she used to get to the Allies to be able to help the battle and give Malaysia the freedom that it needed. And what happened? is everyone's best guess. She got caught. She got caught, guys. She was taken to jail. There was third-degree torture that was put onto her, right? Her fingernails were pulled off with a plier. There were rods, hot rods that were hit against her leg, right? And she was scalded all over. And she also was forced to drink so much of water, and then they jumped on her stomach, thereby injuring her head, her spine. She survived. She survived only to die in prison later because of the severe injuries that she faced. But do we talk about these women? Aren't they equally involved in the sacrifices that the men made? But we remain anonymous. And this is why we should be proud of the fact of how evolutionary trends have allowed us to have a voice today. And it's not a favor, but it's a good thing that's happening in today's world. Think about another thing, right? We have Bill Gates. Who doesn't know Bill Gates? Everybody knows Bill Gates. Everybody knows Steve Jobs, right? What amazing innovation they brought along, right? If you look at Steve Jobs, the iPhone wouldn't have been invented without him, per se. It was his engineering of the mind. But do you think these guys did it alone? Or do you think they had a strong backing behind them? I believe they had a very, very strong backing behind them. The women, their wives, their partners, who gave them the emotional support, who took care of all other elements in their life so that they could remain focused and be the best versions of themselves. But then this is a sacrifice that women made in going unrecognized. And this is where we need to find a balance of how we can coexist and have both be on the same platform, receive the same kind of recognitions, and at the end of the day be winners. Because that's what's going to cause and create a lot of peace that we want to see. So why fostering women inclusivity? Right? Why do you think this is crucial? And how is this going to unlock innovation for countries, for nations, for companies, for governments? There is a lot that can be done. And since we are a crowd that's all involved in cybersecurity and we're talking about women in cybersecurity, the one thing we should not ignore is that women did not play a role in cybersecurity even years ago. So here are 4 women that were not only leaders in their own capacity, right, in cybersecurity, but they made great impact on the cybersecurity industry, right, on the technology industry, and they made sure that they were along the way going to carry a lot of women along with them by motivating them, by being the right role models. Look at Joan Clark, for instance, right? She was influencing a lot of good work in World War II. She was using the Enigma machine, right? She was a coder, and she used to use the encryption technologies back then to encrypt messages so that the Nazis would not be able to pick information up and to be able to send it over to the Allied forces. And that's how probably her contributions were one of the largest contributions in seeing the World War II being won and settled down with the right people having the right things going for them. Valerie Thomas, she was a great influencer in the NASA, right? The national security in the United States of America. What did she do? Well, she looked at cybersecurity frameworks. She looked at cybersecurity measures. Do you think without her contributions, these spaceships that used to be launched, right, by NASA out of Earth would have been done in a safe environment without all of the cyber practices that needed to be made? I think she played a fundamental role in ensuring that the cybersecurity of NASA was maintained, right? People were not able to steal information. People were not able to take things away. Were not able to disrupt the entire ability of NASA to run its programs successfully. Likewise, we have Ada Lovelace, we have Grace Hopper, who have been great women back then who did amazing things, you know. Please feel free to Google these amazing women who did amazing things in cybersecurity. I want to take a minute to just talk about Grace, right? She coined the term bug. Imagine we're using the bug so freely today, but she's the one that coined the word bug, being a PhD in mathematics and then moving into technology and cybersecurity. These are great feats of great women, even back then. So they've carved the path forward for all of us. It's about now understanding how we can continue to harness this and take this forward to make sure that the workforce that we are all part of is going to generate not just an inclusive workforce, but also generate innovation that is going to be more profound on a global landscape. So this is a McKinsey report that I wanted to share with you, because when we tell ourselves the why, it's so important for us to understand that diverse perspectives of individuals are so important. In fact, when McKinsey did this survey, 15% increase of financial returns to organizations when they simply made one single change, which is listening to diverse perspectives. Now let me explain this to you a little bit more. When we talk about diverse perspectives, it means bringing the diverse brains into conversations, right? Today, as we are part of organizations, whether public or private, it doesn't matter. But when we are part of this, our say should matter, right? Why? Because the entire need, the entire need of women to be part of the agenda for shaping cybersecurity measures, for looking into frameworks, for having these deep-ended discussions, is because we are part of the solution. We are not supposed to be there to just be a checkbox that we've asked women. No, we are the solution. For those of you who don't know, 58%, that's a very large percent, 58% of the cyber crime is on women. Now that can be cyberbullying, that can be trolling, that can be, you know, the panelists this afternoon spoke about so many things this morning, right? And 58% of this is women. If you don't ask the women the right questions, you don't get the right perspectives from them, how on earth are you going to be able to develop a cybersecurity policy or a framework that's going to be all-encompassing? And how are you going to actually get the solutions that you require? So these are very deep-ended questions, and this is the reason, one of the reasons why we need to include and foster inclusivity for sure. Enhanced talent pool. We heard Karine this afternoon, or this morning, sorry, on the panel talk about the fact that there are 4 million jobs available right now in cybersecurity globally, right? She even broke it down into what percentage is women. And it shouldn't come as a surprise, because that's why we're all here, right? I think the women are here, but you know, in hindsight, if I can just go off topic a little bit, I would have loved to see more men here. I think it's great to see the women here, but if we had seen more men, I think we would have had, number one, some form of acknowledgement. I think we would have had some form of thinking and some kind of an action coming out of everything that's being formulated, and you know, as a natural outcome of such events. Because at the end of the day, if there are still many men that are decision makers, they need to have been part of these events. For those of you who are here, I hope you can be the tide that takes these topics and reasons why women inclusivity is so important back to your organizations and be part of implementing this change that we're looking at. So when we talk about enhanced talent pool, right, gender inclusion, these are all very common terms. But if you have this enhanced talent pool of individuals, the variety matters, diversity matters, inclusiveness matters, and that's how innovation will inherently come around. So the next reason why we should have inclusivity my opinion, is improved decision making, right? If you again look at another research, Boston Consulting Group found that companies with more diverse management teams have 19% higher innovation. This is not a small joke, because today companies, countries, right, organizations are all clobbering to find out how can we be more innovative. Innovation is what's driving organizations and nations to basically become the best versions of themselves. But if you have an improved decision-making ability, then imagine what you can be able to deliver at your organization, right? So think along those lines of improved decision-making coming from a variety of individuals and from both genders that exist. Having said that, market relevance, right? This is again a very intriguing point. Cybersecurity is, cybersecurity transcends boundaries. Cybersecurity transcends nations. Cybersecurity transcends departments, industries, and also languages. So if you don't have a diverse workforce, think about me giving you a toolbox. I hand you a toolbox, you open the toolbox, and in front of you, you find only a screwdriver. And I tell you, well, you know what? Use this screwdriver and make a hole in the wall. Use this screwdriver to file the wood. Use this screwdriver to sharpen certain pieces of wood in your home. Would you be able to do it? Can you use a screwdriver to cut something? No. You can't possibly use a screwdriver to do everything. Likewise, you need the diverse talent pool. You need to include the diverse natures of individuals that exist, right? And I'm talking more about women, because you have this variety that's going to impact your environment, going to impact your business, going to impact your nation and how it performs. It's this market relevance, right? Think about in your workspace. You have all sorts of problems. You go into your finance department, there's a very high chance that invoices might have been paid fraudulently, right? You walk into your end users, right, that are in your company. They would be inviting people, outsiders, that would become dangerous for your organizations, right? Look at technicians. If technicians come in and they configure your systems wrongly, you're in trouble. If you look at coders, and coders don't do their job properly, oh my God, they're going to mess up your entire coding environment, right? So when we talk about diversity and market relevance, it's so important to understand that these diversity measures need to bring about market relevance so that we can continue to innovate and we can remain competitive in this industry. Without competitiveness, we are going to basically become redundant, right? So it's so important for us to take these matters into account. Finally, when we talk about the whys, corporate reputation, social responsibility, these are heavy words, but the children of today, our children of today, right, the ones that we very often refer to as Gen Z, they are a very, very different breed. And it's also the generation before this, which are my daughters. Today, when I observe how my daughters look for employers, it shocked me. They were actually doing research of companies, and they were like, Mom, this company doesn't really include diversity. I think their DEIB concept is messed up. DEIB, by the way, is diversity, right? Equity, inclusion, and belonging. They were so hell-bent on ensuring that these 4 concepts are part of an employer's, it's part of what the employer offers as a benefit. So if these don't exist, the the work environment, the labor environment that we're walking into is going to be very different. And I'm not saying this. This was a survey done by Deloitte, where Deloitte actually went out and did such a survey, and they found out that 85% of people seeking employment are actually looking at how inclusive is the organization. Are they equitable? Have they got a diverse workforce? Have they built a culture of belonging? And if they have not, they won't even bother tendering a resume to be read there. 85% is very high. This is, of course, of a study done by Deloitte in the US, but we're in Malaysia, and I can only imagine how this is going to infiltrate Malaysia very soon, and we're going to be part of a society where children are also looking very closely at such factors before deciding on whether they should seek employment in an organization that is absent of such criteria. So now that we have covered the whys, let's go about and ask ourselves, I'm sure right now you guys are wondering, okay, yeah, you make sense. How are we going to go ahead and build an entire inclusive circle? How are we going to harness the potential for innovation, right? And it's not that difficult, guys, because if we have the right intent, we would immediately be able to understand that this is very easily achieved. Leadership commitment. Leadership commitment is a huge, huge, huge deal. If we don't have the commitment of our leadership in making and bringing about the changes, which is ensuring that if we have levels and a hierarchy in our organizations, that there are women being representing every single tier of that hierarchy, right? No job should probably be given just looking at strengths, not strengths, sorry, but looking at gender, right? We should probably be giving out these based on conscious leadership commitment in these areas, right? I'll give you an example. WPP is the largest marketing agency globally, and it has a 17 billion revenue. 17 billion revenue. You want to guess who is their head of technology? Male or woman? Male or female? Female. So they've started making changes. A $17 billion organization. We won't go far. Let's talk about EC Council. EC Council recently, which is the organization I belong to, we recently had a vacant position for the CFO. And we decided, okay, let's consciously look at a whole plethora of resumes and let's give an opportunity to women. And guess what, guys? We've hired a top talent as a CFO at EC Council. She has 17 years of experience, being a Canadian, worked 9 years in a $3 billion organization in New York, and now recently joined us, and she's making strides of changes. You know why? Because women do things differently. They are not the same, and you need these differences, right? If you look at her approach versus the approach of other men in our organization, it's very different. In such a short time, she's managed to be able to relate and communicate things that were so difficult to communicate in the past with such ease, because she has a different purpose, she has a different mindset, she has a different approach. And this, my friends, needs to happen across all organizations, because if you don't test the waters, you will never know what your organization is lacking, what your government department is lacking, and what it continues to need. So leadership commitment is so crucial. Equal opportunities. We keep talking about equal opportunities, but how do we practice this? Right? It's so easy to say equal opportunities. Yeah, you know, we have an equal number of men and women in our organization already. Are your equal number of men and women being paid the same salary? We heard recently that these are discrete, they are not fully exposed. right? But most of the pain points of women today is, I'm doing as much work as a man is doing. I'm putting in the number of hours a man is putting in. I am having as sleepless nights as men are having. In fact, I'm not even getting married nowadays because I want that equal opportunity, isn't it? Right? We don't want to be part of an industry that does not allow us these flexible options. So we spoke a great length of how governments are taking initiatives and making those initiatives in ensuring that there's going to be equal opportunity for women even if they choose to get married. Right? I had a very interesting conversation this afternoon over lunch with one Sharifa. She was one of the moderators. And she was telling me, my boss is the reason why I am where I am today. When I had my kid 1, I was okay. When I had my kid 2, I wasn't so okay. And I needed help. And he allowed that help to me. He allowed me flexible time. And when he allowed me flexible time, he bought me. He bought my soul. Because he cared for me. And he was a he, by the way. And when she went back to the workforce, guys, she went back double in, with double amount of capacity, with double the amount of energy, with double the amount of impact. And we all saw what one Sharifa is capable of doing today and where she has hit. So this kind of support needs to come when we talk about equal opportunity. It's not just about equal pay. It's not just about having an equal number of men and women, but it's about making those differences. Are you training and providing the kinds of training your women need as much as your men would need, right? So it goes on. I'm just going to take a quick time check, guys. Sorry. I think I'm running off time, so I'm going to speed through this a little bit more. Sorry. So and I thought this was going to be difficult. I didn't think I was going to take this, I thought I was going to be short of time. Diverse representation. Let's talk about diverse representation. If you don't have diversity at all levels of your organization, C-suite, your executives, your managers, right? You are not going to be able to achieve inclusivity. Education and training. This is a big one, guys. This matters because sometimes what happens is that we don't do things purposely, right? This is all through an accident. It's called unconscious bias. I don't know how many of you are familiar with this term, but when we used to be hiring 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and we used to have resumes in front of us, we used to look at the resumes and we used to pick people out not by saying this is male, this is female, this is male, this is female, but more so by saying how talented are they, how apt are they for the job. And then we used to end up hiring more men than women. So what kind of education and training that really needs to happen is to mitigate this unconscious bias. We need to make sure that we are in a position of being consciously looking at these resumes, looking at people and saying, we've got to do this for the benefit of the organization because women come in with different perspectives. Women come in with market relevance. Women come in with all the various diversities that are required to make innovation happen and to actually see organizations profit, which we saw in McKinsey's report, right? 15% higher profitability simply by making one change, bringing women in your leadership camp. So I'm going to really quickly move to just 2 examples and then I will be done. How has EC Council created an impact? We too walk the talk. We want to make sure that what we say, we do. And we did this. Last year, we actually launched a scholarship, a $3.5 million US dollars scholarship worldwide. And what we did there is we said, okay, we're going to do 100% approval rate for women. That means if a woman applies, she's going to get it, no questions asked. This is our way of giving back and making sure that we are able to bring women out into the frontiers, try and make those extremely important validated changes that require to be made, to be seen, to be felt, so that we can really have a workforce that is truly deserving and innovative and has the full potential of social impact and of course an economic impact. There was another scholarship given by EC Council University. You can see some of these women. These are just very few women last year who received some of our scholarships from our universities. We were offering a $2,000 scholarship to anyone who wanted to complete cybersecurity degree programs with the university. So, as we empower, and I'm going to end in just 1 minute, empowering the next generation. There are so many of you who are so young. There are so many of you who are around my age. We need to work together and we need to ensure that we embrace this change. We need to make sure that the spillover effects of what we are trying to do where we are at the mature cycles in our lives, we're able to have that spillover to the younger generation, and we're able to empower them to be the best versions of themselves and to uplift the entire idea of diversity, inclusion, equity, and belonging. With that, thank you very much. It was a pleasure addressing this wonderful crowd. Thank you for staying with me and staying awake.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, please join me in extending our heartfelt gratitude to Ms. Lata Babisi for her enlightening and inspiring keynote address. Ms. Babisi, your insights have truly resonated with us, and we are grateful for your contribution for today's event. Thank you for sharing your expertise and wisdom with us. And now, ladies and gentlemen, our second panel session this afternoon is on cybersecurity and AI, opportunities and threats. The goal of this dialogue is to illuminate how cybersecurity and AI intersect, showcasing opportunities where AI can enhance cybersecurity measures such as threat detection, risk assessment, and incident response. Throughout this session, we will discuss on the potential threats posed by AI in cybersecurity, including the risk of AI-driven attacks, data privacy concerns, and the ethical implications of AI-powered cybersecurity solutions. And we also will look at the best practices for leveraging AI in cybersecurity effectively, emphasizing the importance of responsible AI implementation, data governance, and regulatory compliance. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, it is my honor to introduce our esteemed moderator for the second panel discussion. With a robust background in the public sector and a wealth of expertise in digital consultation, information management, and emerging technologies, or ET, she brings a unique perspective to our discussion today. Currently serving as the Principal Assistant Director at the National Digital Department under the Ministry of Digital, her impressive academic credentials include a bachelor's degree in computer science with honors, a master's degree in business information systems, and a PhD specializing in data integration governance. With over 20 years of dedicated service within the public sector, her role as the focal digital landscape. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome onto the stage our moderator for this panel session, Dr. Nur Hasfiza Muhammad Hassan. We also would like to welcome our esteemed panelists this afternoon. First in line is Ms. Sharifa Rashida Said Othman, Director of Cybersecurity Policy and International Cooperation, NACSA. also would like to welcome Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Yusuf Darus, Associate Professor in Computer Science, University Technology Lab. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Engineer Wan Murdani, Vice President of Digital Industry Acceleration, Malaysia Digital Economy Corporation. Please also welcome Ms. Elina Roslan, Senior Director of Malaysia Center for IR, My Digital Corp. Ladies and gentlemen, and last but not least, please welcome Ms. Adila Julin, Director of Legal and Government Affairs, Microsoft Malaysia. Ladies and gentlemen, for your information, the second panel session is specially brought to you by Microsoft Malaysia. Over to you, Doctor.
Thank you very much to our MC today. So, how's everyone? Good. That's not good. How's everyone? Alhamdulillah. So, this is going to be our last session for Women in Cyber today. So, I felt so honored, yet so nervous to be on stage with such esteemed panelists. I felt so tiny, of course not physically, to be honest. Yeah. I can see some bombastic side eyes, no, not physically. So to be on stage with such distinguished panels from NATSA, from UITM, from EdTech, from MyDC, Management Corporation, and also from Microsoft. Okay, so our topic for this session is about AI, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity and AI opportunities and threats. So this panel discussion will explore the complex and ambiguous relationship between AI and cybersecurity and the correlation between these two, AI and cybersecurity, whether the explosion of AI era is giving threats to cybersecurity or giving boosts to advance the cybersecurity field. So we also discuss on the consideration of AI ethics and governance, and also how it surrounds the use of AI in cybersecurity and the importance of adopting the technology responsibly. All right. Okay. So for today, we have 5 panelists with us. So unfortunately, Senior Dr. Megat couldn't be with us today due to some emergency. So we have Rashida once again with us. Okay, so before we proceed, I would like to briefly introduce to you our panelists for today. So we shall start with Rashida. Just to call Rashida Raj. Okay. Since 2006, Maya X. Maya, sorry, Maya X Maya. So, okay. Rashida is the Director of Cybersecurity Policy and International Cooperation in NATSA. So, she has like 17 years experience in NATSA, yes, and a very vast experience in cybersecurity. And when you talk about NATSA, you always remember Rashida. She's like a muse for NATSA. Okay. And then we have with us today Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Yusuf Darus, Associate Professor at the School of Computing, UITM, Shah Alam. So, can I call Dr. Yusuf? Dr. Yusuf, okay. Dr. Yusuf holds the position of Associate Professor at the School of Computing, College of Computing, Informatics and Mathematics, University Technology, Baran Shah Alam. His current research primarily centers on cybersecurity with a specific focus on areas such as SQL injections attacks, DDoS attacks, and related topics. And then we have Senior Wan Murdani bin Muhammad, the Vice President from Digital Industry Acceleration from MDEC. So, boleh panggil Cik Wan kan? Because I know him as Cik Wan. Okay kan? Okay. Insinyur Wan Mudani has accumulated more than 25 years of professional experience in corporate and economy development environment when he started his career at Renault UEM Group, specifically with Time.com Berhad, one of the Malaysia's first digital fiber optic telecommunication network and services provider. And currently, Insinyur Wan Mudani is the Vice President of Digital Enablers Division at MDEC, which is overseeing digital talent, digital entrepreneurship, funding ecosystem, digital infrastructure, technology ecosystem, and regulatory facilitation, which are the key ecosystem in enabling the growth of digital economy. And then next to Cik Wan, we have Puan Elina Roslan, the Senior Director from Malaysia Centre for the Fourth Industrial Revolution, My Centre for IR, from My Digital Corporation. Okay, Puan Elina possesses over 25 years of experience in corporate communications, branding, marketing, and senior management roles in various industries, including pharmaceuticals, logistics, public relations, consultancy, franchise business, ICT, telecommunications, and automotive. She is responsible for overseeing and driving strategic initiatives in strategic communications and two key divisions under My Centre for IR, MyDC, energy transition and also digital transformation. Last but not the least, Ms. Adila Chunin from Microsoft Malaysia. She is the Director of Legal and Government Affairs in Microsoft. She carries the responsibility as an advisor to Microsoft for the government and public policy issues that impact innovations and growth of the IT sector. Adila has over 20 years of industry experience under her belt, with her most recent role at Axiata Digital Services in Berhad. There she spearheaded the creation of its regulatory affairs function and held the role of regional regulatory head involving digital services across Malaysia, Indonesia, and Bangladesh. Okay. So for today, we have about 1 hour and 45 minutes for our sessions. So we're going to have 3 rounds of discussion with all the panelists. So each of them we're going to have one specific question. So it's a little bit different from the early session in the morning. And then we're going to have Q&A session for about 15 minutes after the third round. And then we're going to have the conclusion or wrap-up session. Okay, before we start, just to set it up the context and to test the mind, I have one question for all the panelists, but the answer should only be yes or no. Surprise! Yes or no? Okay? Alright. So the question is, Bruce Chenier, a renowned cybersecurity expert, says AI is both the most promising and most dangerous technology in cybersecurity today. Do you agree on this? Yes or no? Yes. Waraj. Okay. Betul?
Yes.
Cik Wan?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes. Okay, semua meniru, yes. Thank you very much. Okay. So, semua follow Puan Rashida. Okay. So, mic semua okay? All mics are okay, alright, okay. So, we shall proceed to our round 1. Ting ting! Round 1. Okay, we shall start with Puan Rashida from NAPSA. Okay. Puan Rashida, to start our discussion today, easy question, level 1 question. Sure. Okay, from NAPSA's perspective, what are the biggest challenges in terms of cybersecurity posed by the development of AI? In the rise of AI era, so what are the biggest challenges?
Okay, you asked questions about NAPSA, and everyone knows today I am like the emulator Mrs. Bidanto Jun. I'm jumping to the roles of replacing Dr. Megat, who really wants to be here, but he really can't. So I'm going to start by saying that, yes, our topic today is regarding AI, but we know that the technology today, the emerging technology, which is AI that we are talking today, and the future technology will base on cyber environment. That's the fact. So we can never argue whether it will use the base or it will become a conduit of communications of that technology itself. Hence, one particular important thing that we really need to keep in mind that all the legacy, current and future cybersecurity problem, the AI platform will inherit it from the inceptions of internet and cyber and all the risks that we are talking today. But they are also unknown, the unknown part. So this is where we really need to discuss, bring people together, the developer, the people who looks into AI as an education, the people that looks into AI for research and whatnot, but also people who really purely focus on the domain of security, not only tech, security as a whole, how actually it will reflect the society, the technology, and how we live our life in future. So, one thing that NACSA keep on emphasizing that cybersecurity in the context of AI would serve the fundamental prerequisite for security of AI system in ensuring, what are we talking, all these things, privacy, fairness, reliability, and predictability. So these are all core elements that the characteristic of AI can bring biggest opportunity to organizations, country, but it needs to be secured as one of the fundamental things so that it can be used in a peaceful and we can maximize the benefit that we get. There are a lot of subfields of AI. So I'm listening to your another thinking. So I'm going to speak a little bit about the subfield of AI, but I'm not going to be in depth. I will use all the experts here. We have a lot more and vast experience as well as knowledge in terms of elaborating one of it. One of the subfield of AI is about natural language processing, where for the first time in history, out of all the technology that we face, in the subfield of AI, it can actually generate narratives. As humans, we were built by understanding narrative, history. We listen to the conversation of how histories are being. It's according to the narrative. And we can go to the source and believe where the narratives come from. It shaped our world, our governance, the government, the banking system, all the systems that we have in the world based on the narrative that later been built up as a country and whatnot. If cybersecurity was not being embedded at the earliest stage as the prerequisite of AI, any threat actors that have different mission with bad intention can inject the element of vulnerabilities that may caused by this technology and reflect into different direction in terms of processing new misinformation, in terms of targeting a specific, which the element where AI should bring in terms of fairness, predictability, cannot be fulfilled. So I'm going to stop here.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's proceed to Dr. Yusof. Okay, as we know, as a researcher and academician, you have very extensive experience in cybersecurity research. So can you elaborate on some specific examples of how AI is being used to improve cybersecurity defenses? Or how could we leverage the rapid evolution of AI in terms of strengthening up our cybersecurity?
Okay, and thank you, Erika. And not only the numbers, but I also is a list of panel and participants and most of movement. Okay, so cybersecurity defense. Okay, as we know, actually AI is increasingly being utilized to enhance cybersecurity defense in various ways. I think my explanation may be a little bit technical. So the first one is we call as anomaly detection. Okay, so anomaly detection is one of the technique that use AI algorithm to identify abnormal, we call as abnormal behavior, or we can call as an unexpected event. In this cybersecurity, abnormal behavior or unexpected event we call as a threat. So AI algorithm, normally we can apply AI algorithm such as KNN, K-nearest neighbor, or local outlier factor (LOF) algorithm can analyze, as mentioned by Puan Sharifah, huge amount of data to establish what normal network behavior look like. So any different or any suspicious activity can be flagged or can be seen as a potential security threat. So we use AI algorithm as mentioned, KNN or LOF algorithm for anomaly detection. For the next one, maybe we can use AI for threat intelligence and prediction. So AI system can continuously monitor, analyze vast amount of data from various sources, actually in network system, including social media, dark web, endpoint data, for example, firewall, server, and so on. The purpose is to identify the emerging threat. Okay, so using threat intelligence and prediction with the AI algorithm, we can identify a pattern, actually, pattern and trend, and then we can predict the potential attack. Okay, future attack, allow us as a cybersecurity analyst to proactively defend our network system. And then I think another example how AI is being used to improve cybersecurity defense is through automated response. I think AI can automate the response to certain type of cyber threat. For example, maybe we're familiar with DDoS attack, we're familiar with malware infection, and etc. Using AI algorithm, it can isolate infected, we call it an infected device from the network. Through AI, we call it as automated response. Automatically, when device is infected with malware, when the device is isolated from the network. So we can block certain malicious traffic, or we can apply a patch or update to one of the systems in real time using AI algorithm. So so basically, through AI algorithm, we can respond quickly as possible to minimize the damage, our system damage, and prevent from becoming worse. So automation not only reduce response time, we as a technical team, so it also improve the overall efficiency of accident response team. So I think last but not least is adaptive authentication. So AI can enhance authentication. Normally we use authentication is for using password and username and password. Essentially, we can enhance authentication mechanism by continuously learning and adapting to the user behavior pattern. Is it this user is legitimate or potential attacker? This is just a few examples how AI being we call as a leverage to improve cybersecurity defense.
Thank you, Doctor. So there's actually so many ways of AI can strengthen up our cybersecurity defenses. Okay. Thank you, and then we proceed to Encik Wan, in Senior One regarding for MDEC. Okay, we know that MDEC plays a crucial role in developing Malaysia's digital economy. The question is, how can government agencies like MDEC support the development and adoption of secure AI technologies among the industries and also the public sector agencies?
Thank you, Assalamualaikum and good afternoon. Maybe perhaps we have to look at the bigger picture of the AI from the market perspective. If you look at the growth of AI, it grows exponentially. That means you talk about the market size of AI by 2030 is going to go up to 700 billion US dollar. And if you look at from a Malaysia perspective, it will be around 4 billion US dollar by 2030. So that shows that there is a market growing in this tech sector, which means that as a country, by hook by crook, we have to be able to get ready on how do we embrace this technology. So not taking up this technology means that the country will go in the opposite direction in terms of growing this economy. So the answer is yes, we have to be on board on this thing. But now, and then the next question is, how do we be prepared for this thing? So there are two things that I think we have to put our effort and emphasize on. The first one is the readiness of our local ecosystem. So on this note, we have to be able to drive the development of the ecosystem to make sure that our companies, our local companies, can be developed, can be groomed, so that we can place them into an environment where we can call a trusted local ecosystem, which means that they are able to serve the needs of our country. So not saying that we can't be attracting the foreign investment will still come in because we need that kind of capacity to make sure that our economy grows. But at the same time, we have to be prepared to grow our local economy as well, our local ecosystem, to make sure that they understand the market sentiment, they understand the local environment, and they understand what are the do's and the don'ts with regard to AI adoption. So that is on the local ecosystem, which MDEC has various scale-up programs to make sure that the companies can be developed accordingly with the needs of the market. And secondly is in terms of readiness. When you talk about AI, it is a new ball game, which means that you need to have a new set of principles to make sure that it can be developed, it can be governed, so that the principle of safety, security, things like that will be always be protected. So we are at the crossroad as a country. We have a chance to be able to chart our guidelines in terms of having a proper ethical guidelines to make sure that we can adopt, and also the ecosystem can be developed to make sure that we can address the needs of the market. So every input from stakeholders are very important to make sure that we can always put up what are the challenges, what are the concerns. I think in terms of opportunities, there are a lot of opportunities for us to tap into, but in terms of addressing the challenges moving forward, this is the thing that we have to work together, whether with public sector, private sectors, to make sure that whatever AI models, whatever AI solutions has to undergo a proper sanitization in terms of having to fulfill the standards that we set by benchmark globally. So that's why a lot of things have to be put inside the system to make sure that we can always grow and adopt the AI accordingly. So that is on the AI. On the onset. But I think if you were to drill down from AI, I think Gen AI is the one that is at the forefront. That means it's in front of us. We are using ChatGPT. So those are the things which has been adopted by Malaysia in that sense. So perhaps the effort is more on the Gen AI readiness, whereas we have to make sure that whatever adoption on that node is something that we want to make sure that it's manageable and can be controlled, while at the same time not shutting down the opportunities for Malaysia to grow. So in this case, again, back to the market opportunities, AI is always be 1/4, a quarter of overall AI market size. So if you talk about Malaysia achieving 4 billion in 2030, so 1 billion will be on the Gen AI. So these are the things I think we have to make sure that a proper governance are put in place to make sure that while we onboard our people to do the Gen AI, we have to make sure that all measures are put in place. And coming back to my earlier points on the local ecosystem, so we do have a quite healthy number of local companies that we believe can be groomed, can be matched to the need of the market while adhering to the guidelines that the government is coming out. I think in a nutshell that I think what MDEC is going to focus on in terms of scaling up to make sure that we have readiness of the companies and also be part of the ecosystem to make sure that we can safely adopt AI in the future.
Thank you, Cik Wan. So one of the important things to embark on AI journey is the readiness of our local ecosystems, and also MX focusing on Gen AI, as Gen AI has so much potential for now. So yeah, let's proceed to Puan Elina from IDC. Okay, MyDC recently launched the AI for Rakyat initiative. So everyone knows, right? AI for Rakyat. So everyone dah jawab. That's the most important question. Dah jawab. Okay, dah dapat badges. Okay, alright. So how can educational programs like this one help to raise awareness about the potential security risks associated with AI, especially to the rakyat, when we talk about rakyat at the rural areas and those who were non-digital literate, yang tak tahu nak operate laptop pun, tak tahu nak pakai smartphone. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you. AI untuk rakyat ni, we have to step back a bit. Why AI untuk rakyat? How it came about? Well, if you in line with the economy Madani aspiration, PM said we need to increase the ceiling and raise the floor. So in every aspect of any blueprint or framework that we see, people is one of the important component for us to move forward as a country. So the country is going ahead. The plane is living, and the technology advancements that we have now is also on super speed. How fast Gen AI has come into Malaysia. Also, it's a ring of eye. Everybody's talking about ChatGPT. So there is a need to address people that need to have this basic awareness and competency on what AI is. So kita decided, okay, let's bring this down to the level of rakyat biasa. So that's why we have AI untuk rakyat. So pada yang have done the module, you will realize that they have two components. One is AI aware, which gives the really basic, apa itu AI. Bagi orang yang tak tahu, for those who have been enjoying doing, filters on TikTok, Instagram, and all, that's AI. And that AI component, if you are not aware, is also a risk. With deepfake and all that. So when people use technology for good, it becomes something fun and exciting. But when they use the same technology for bad, then the scammers are having a field day. So it's this kind of awareness that we want to have among the rakyat when we introduce the AI to rakyat. So they know, oh, ada benda ni. There's such thing as generative AI that can change people's face, or it can, have you look older than your, like your parents and all that. So, benda ni, it's very important that the people are aware. And how we are going to go down to the rakyat is, of course, it's available online. And we also are working very closely with MCMC's 90 centers. We're going into universities. We're going everywhere that is willing to accept us. Even today we are in Kluang. Wherever other invitation we will go. And Pusat Sains Negara has also jumped into the bagian and said, hey, siapa yang ada batch AI untuk rakyat, come and visit Pusat Sains Negara for free. They do charge for entrance fee, but for the general exhibition, you can come in. So I think in terms of AI untuk rakyat, is that awareness that people must know that this technology exists. So in fact, in AI appreciate, it goes deeper down to one level, not so deep until technical people je yang faham. It's basic general knowledge, what is risk, what are the threats that may come by. They even touch a bit on macam Rashida cakap tadi, the natural language processing, So it gives a bit more in-depth view on what AI is, so that people like students, they can say, hey, this is something that I want to pursue, you know. It gives that kind of awareness. It's not like heavy, something like that. So I think it's not just awareness, it's actually giving that knowledge that the technology exists and what technology is capable of doing, so that people can actually be wary of the threats that may come. You know, when technology is used for good, it becomes good, but when it's bad, yeah, it's really, really bad.
Alright, thank you, Mak Elina. So those who have the badges can go to Pusat Science and can free entrance fee. Okay, alright. So let's proceed to Ms. Adila from Microsoft. Okay, as we know, Microsoft is a leading technology company at the forefront of AI development. So kita pujilah sebab brand sponsor. Tapi ikhlas. How is Microsoft responding to the blast off of AI technology, especially in products or services safety measurement?
Thank you very much, Dr. And thank you very much, Hamza, and my group as well. For being all here today. What a remarkable sight it is to see so many supporters of women in cyber from so many different backgrounds and have such a fantastic panel here today. I am nodding along with everything my fellow panelists are saying. So great to hear that the idea of AI able to deliver benefits and recognizing that it can have some threats and looking to how we can maximize those benefits and gain some of the best outcomes for ourselves. So thank you, Doctor, for the question, and thank you for recognizing Microsoft. I think Microsoft has been used a lot, especially with AI, and as Cik Wan mentioned, generative AI, right? It really sort of took the public's imagination when people started to be able to interact with technology very easily because of generative AI. So generative AI basically is that form of AI that you might be using now when you go into play with ChatGPT that interacts with you almost as though it's another human. Just wanted to flag, right? It is AI, so it arranges the words into a sentence that makes it feel like you're talking to someone, but the technology does not understand what it's saying. It's using probability to generate what the most likely next word would be. So I think lesson number one for all of us should be that it's not a sentient, understanding, feeling technology. So with that in mind, what Microsoft actually has done is we've been on a journey to be where we are today in terms of understanding what the risks are, what the benefits are, and what some of the steps should be, not just for ourselves, but for any developer, user, policymaker who interacts with AI. We started in 2018 with our responsible AI principles, and I think those principles that include fairness, transparency, accountability, security, reliability, these are actually very, I would say, pervasive in any AI, responsible AI, or principles for AI framework that you see anywhere. Our very own Malaysian National AI Roadmap that identifies responsible AI principles are very similar. And that sort of is a good approach, recognizing that across the globe, across different jurisdictions, that these core principles are what you really need to anchor to ensure that we can, and this is the key phrase I'll be using, maximize the benefits of AI, but at the same time, minimize the harms. So at Microsoft, we have a few structures. So we have our board, executive leadership. We've established our Office of Responsible AI that oversees a lot of what we do and helps guide us in making sure that when we do adopt and use AI, we bear in mind the responsible AI principles. We have tools and processes to help us. For example, our responsible AI standard that sets out all the criteria that we need to meet, has useful tools like assessment templates. We have red teaming and a whole host of other things to help us ensure that we really want to use technology for positive impact, to generate benefits for society. So some of the other things that we do, and I think this goes towards what Cik Wan and Madalina were saying, at the end of the day, technology is a tool. So not only do the deployers need to put their efforts into ensuring its use for good, but the users need to have the awareness, need to be educated and exposed to what some of the harms might be, so that they're informed when they use. And efforts such as AI untuk Rakyat are fantastic ways to do that. At Microsoft, we ourselves have developed a few skilling initiatives, such as Teach AI, to sort of help people at the educators and students at the TVET institutions understand how to use AI and also be safe and responsible and understand what the risks are. We also have a classroom toolkit, AI classroom toolkit, that we're hoping to see if we can launch soon here. And that really focuses on the younger students in the secondary school. And it's really about ensuring our rakyat doesn't get left behind, and us as a nation, we can remain competitive, but always aware of the harms and always empowered with the right tools to safeguard against those harms.
Thank you, Ms. Adila. So it's very crucial for us to have some standards and also guidelines to adopt a safe and responsible AI. Okay, that will be the end of round one. So all the panelists, are you okay? So far? So far so good. So participants, are you okay? Sherry thinks I'm not okay. Chewan is bringing his fan club. Chewan is bringing his fan club. Okay, so for round two, ting ting ting. Okay, we shall start with Puan Elina from IDC. So Puan Elina, beyond public awareness, what are other strategies that can be implemented to promote responsible and ethical development and adoption of AI, ensuring the cybersecurity requirements? So not only for the adoption, for the user sides, but also for the developer side.
Thank you. I think if again falls back to the people. At the forefront of any technology use, whether you're a user or a developer or even implementer, it's still the people. So we've addressed the rakyat with AI untuk rakyat. We also believe that management level C-suites must also be aware of technologies and have the right skills and competency to manage the deployment of technology within their organizations. And most importantly, very aware about the cybersecurity risk and mitigation. Because usually organizations will put technology costs at the side. Macam kita spend on operational costs first. This one semua tak akan jadi. It won't happen in my organization. But with ransomware and all these cyber attacks that's happening, it's becoming more sophisticated. We need to ensure that the C-suites and management level actually knows what risk their organization will be in, if the necessary actions are not taken. Hence, MyDigital actually worked with Asia School of Business to create a specially curated program called the Executive Digital Leadership Program. So in that program, we have a specific module on cybersecurity, where we really opened their eyes and showed them simulations and how easy their organization can be attacked. Yeah, because I think the AI for good, yes, is beneficial, but like Prof said just now, algorithm, the anomaly, algorithm too. While kita that is managing the security, looking out for these anomalies, they are also these really talented hackers and penyamut can actually use the same technology for their benefit. They are also monitoring, using AI to monitor what are we doing for our defenses. So it works both ways. Hence, talents, having the right skill sets for our younger generations, the Palapis, is coming in, having the right courses in our universities, to ensure that we have a pipeline of talent, digital talents that can support the cybersecurity sustainably. That is important. Alongside, again, governance, and like what Rashida also said, that security has to be embedded at the development stage, not an afterthought. It has to come in at the very beginning, when the planning stage, it has to come in.
Thank you for Edna. So next we go to Ms. Adila from Microsoft. So just now we talked about standards and also the guidelines. So for now, in your opinion, as a user and also as a legal practitioner, do we need legal and regulatory frameworks to govern the development of and use of AI? And what are the aspects that should be covered by these legal and regulatory frameworks?
Thanks, Doctor. That's a great question, because I think there's a lot of discussion about it now, but not a lot of clarity about what that discussion really refers to. So AI is a technology that is deployed in many different sectors. There are many different use cases. And it also rides on a lot of existing infrastructure, digital infrastructure, on existing data sets. And what that means to say, AI didn't come into existence in a vacuum. There is an existing digital world in which it was born. And there are plenty of laws and regulations governing that existing world. So I think we have to be very cognizant that there are existing laws and regulatory frameworks already in place that are already currently operating to address issues in a lot of areas of life that we are already operating in that happens to now be introducing AI. So a really good example I like to use is Bank Negara did a survey of all the financial services players, I think something like 3 years ago now, 2-3 years ago, and most of them were adopting AI already, had been already exploring adopting AI, but you hadn't heard of an AI law for banks. And what Bank Negara came out to say is that, note, this is something that the banks are looking at into helping them manage their customers, helping them manage their responses, understand their data better, and please bear in mind your responsible lending guidelines still apply. Your customer information guidelines still apply. So meaning to say that all the protections that we are already working on for our personal data, for cybersecurity, should be as they are. So the cybersecurity law, for example, is a fantastic effort. Congratulations very much to the NAXA team and the team of ladies who I know betul-betul lumus behind the scenes to make it happen. That's something that is foundational that we need to have. And that takes us a great step towards being able to put the building blocks in place to make sure that when we do adopt AI in a more wide-scale fashion for areas of our life that encompass more than perhaps just researching, writing song lyrics and poems, then we have the building blocks in place. Meaning to say that yes, personal data protection, cybersecurity, these are all relevant for AI, but these are not AI laws. Then the question becomes, what should be the frameworks that we look at? So from my perspective, that is something that is still being discussed globally today. So it's an exciting time to be alive and to be in this field, because it's not 100% clear what is the form of framework, governance, regulation, guideline that needs to be in place. But what is clear is that there are risks, and these risks need to be managed. So far what is emerging is that these responsible principles are good guidance. There are some standards evolving globally, and AI is going to be a very global and pervasive technology. So countries really need to work together to identify what would be the right approach to make sure that the risks are mitigated, but as a country, they still have the benefit of that technology.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Zanila. Actually, I have one question in conjunction with your answers, but I'll keep it for the round 3. Okay, now we are back to Rashida. So, in the context of AI adoption in the public and private sectors, how is NATSA working to ensure that AI is used responsibly and ethically in the context of cybersecurity?
I would like to refer by taking back what Elena as well as what Adila mentioned earlier. One is AI does not exist in vacuum. So it goes back to the cybersecurity element, where in NATSA, in cybersecurity area, we do not just confine to AI as one of the technology or emerging technology. When I start speaking in this law, I mentioned that any new technologies. So it goes back to the fundamental of risk. And in cybersecurity, the first step of any steps in terms of managing cybersecurity is to do the risk assessment. Because of what? Because we do not have all the money in the world to protect everything. So we want to identify where should our, what Elena mentioned, investment should be channeled in order for us to get and protect and harden the technology that we use in the environment that we know that are not 100% secure. So that is one part. And second part, I also wanted to concur as well as support what Elena has been mentioning from the start of her intervention, where she mentioned about, when she spoke about AI untuk rakyat, she touched about the citizen. It's about people. Then she expanded a little bit to talk about, if you want to know more what's out there, what's the opportunity for you, you can go to another course in the AI where you will get an eye-opener. What are the things and where should you reap the benefit of it? These two are important because, again, whether we like it or not, each and every devices that we use, every platform, maybe social media and whatnot, is already being embedded by AI. This does not exist in vacuum. So I copy that what Adila mentioned. So, and the last part that is truly, truly important, if we want to associate what we should move forward in terms of talking about ethical opportunity, threats and whatnot, is the fact that the element of governing is truly important. And Elena mentioned again about the importance of understanding of the board that actually holds the governance in terms of organizations and also holds and decide where the channels of investment should be made, what are the roadmap. So the people down there understand, being given equal opportunity to explore, and they actually have an awareness what's the threat are. And in the end, in cybersecurity, it always says that human is the weakest link, but I don't agree we stop there. Human also can be the best defense.
Okay, thank you, Rashida. So, risk assessment is the fundamental step for every kind of technology, not only for AI, for every emerging technologies and other technologies as well. So we are back to some technical questions to Dr. Yusof. So what are some of the technical challenges associated with developing and implementing AI-based security solutions? Is it different from non-AI-based cybersecurity solutions?
So the question is, what is a technical challenge? So actually, the first one, almost all the discuss about standard guideline, regulatory. So one of the challenges when we implementing AI-based security solution is regulatory compliance and legal consideration. I'm not sure in Malaysia, this is under MCIC, NATSA or CSM. So AI-based cybersecurity solution must comply with we call it various regulation and standard. Okay, in terms of data privacy, in terms of API, etc. So we ensuring the AI cybersecurity solution follow the regulatory standard. This is making developer challenge and make it difficult to developer to develop AI cybersecurity solution. Okay, to the first challenge. So the next challenge is as we know, cybersecurity solution need vast amount of data. Okay, so we need data quality and quantity. So AI, for sure, AI algorithm really it depends on data for training and for decision making. So one of the challenges in AI security solution is to ensure the availability of high quality of data, training data. The data is sufficiently enough to present the diverse range of attack. For example, maybe as mentioned before, DDoS attack, malware attack, SQL attack. The data is enough to train our AI. To the second challenge. So when we involve with data, actually is we collecting and manage huge large volume of data. So automatically we can raise privacy, we can raise compliance concern. Okay, so the next is technical challenge is integration with existing system. Okay, so maybe our current system or existing system cannot apply AI security-based solution. So when we try to integrate with AI-based security solution into existing IT infrastructure, for sure can be complex and challenging. So in terms of compatibility issue, in terms of data silo, maybe we need more capability in terms of planning, coordination with a stakeholder across organization. I think this is some of the technical issue when we try to adapt AI security solution. So the last but not least is I think is maybe scalability and performance. So AI cybersecurity solution must be able or can handle to analyze and process vast amount of data in real time, supposedly in real time. So to keep pace the speed of value of cyber crime. So AI algorithm must be efficient and scalable to compute across all a distributed environment. We live in distributed environment, network, data from network, data from endpoint, data from firewall, and so on. So while trying to maintain the high detection accuracy. So I think these are a few technical challenges when we try to develop AI security solution.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Iso. So among the technical challenges, first is the data quality of data. And then we have to train the training data properly. And then the third one is the integration with the legacy systems and also the scalability. Okay, and now we are back to Chip Wan from MTech. So now we shall embrace the theme of our event, Women in Cyber. Okay, the question to Chip Wan would be, what initiatives is MTech implementing to empower women in Malaysia's digital economy, particularly in fields like AI, cybersecurity, and technology leadership roles?
It's tough questions because the audience are mostly women, right? Maybe before I start with that thing, just to take cue from the other panelists on the cybersecurity. If you look at cybersecurity, it is very much horizontal enablers of other technologies. So the underlying principles of the enabler is always cybersecurity. That means you cannot live without having proper development of cybersecurity aspects in all of the technologies. So it says a lot on the importance of cybersecurity as part of digital transformation. So again, that's the message that I think is very crucial. So that goes what MDET has been doing so far. When we do our transformation, when we do our adoption strategy, so we always make sure that whatever economic development has to be safeguarded by cybersecurity. So that is the thing. So coming back to questions from Dr. just now in terms of the programs. Yes, I think we take you from the need for us to be more inclusive. If you recall, I think a few years back we have had a specific program. What we call is a women career comeback. That means we were targeting women who were out of the job market, who wanted to be back in the job market. So we chose cybersecurity as a field of technology that we want to put in. What we did was we identified a few companies within the ecosystem who were then willing to take the women that has undergone through a selection program together with Talent Corp. For that woman to be able to be absorbed into the companies and underwent a series of trainings and developmental procedures for them to be able to be absorbed into the market. So that provided a soft landing zone for the women who wanted to be back into the career. When you talk cybersecurity, so it's not about hardcore technologies like pen testing, forensic, and other things, SOC. So cybersecurity is skill set is varying from technical to non-technical. So for example, like when we did our program, because we don't expect women from other fields to be able to absorb skills instantly when we come back to the industry. So things like data protection, risk assessment, so those were the skill set that are required along the cybersecurity ecosystem. So if we were able to carve out a program to make sure that we can train women in that sense, that means we are preparing them for the job market. So again, we think that women is good at cybersecurity because the type of question that they ask normally is something that men cannot imagine. So the thing is, that's why the risk assessment, the type of question, I think you would agree with us that when we did this thing, we discovered that this is a unique characteristic that would be fitted well in cybersecurity. So again, I'm not kidding. So this was the experience that we had when we had this program. So we figured out that is the key unique proposition that the women has. So it's easier for us to get them onboarded into the program. So those are the things that I think I can quote specifically on the women, what we did, and from that program we managed to at least get a few pioneer women to be absorbed into the market. So we hope that, because MDET cannot do this at a scale. So that's why I think what we did was to pave a way for such a program to be able to be replicated by the industry. So I'm happy to report that they kept on doing this thing. So we are getting the numbers from them maybe in the next few months to make sure to see what progress that have taken place so far. So that's the program. And secondly, is in terms of ESG. What we did, I think gender equality is very important. So in our ESG component in MDET alone, I think we have about 58% of our employees are women. So obviously it's more than men in MDET. But you also will take note that we also have thousands of MD companies under our ambit. We did a survey as well. 58% of the total staff are women. Since our inception in 1996, we have created about 200,000 high-value jobs. So you imagine that 58% of those high-value jobs are being filled by women. So that shows that I think in terms of our progression, I think we are on the right traction to make sure that the equality of gender is put in place. And our program as well, I think we did on the ground program what we call Jelajah Saya Digital, where we are targeting masses of people at different age. So I'm happy to say that we have about 180,000 women at all levels participated in our program, and they have been benefited from the programs in likes of EU Sawan, high value gig freelancing. So those are the programs that have created income opportunities for the people, and we are happy to see that most of the programs, most of the success stories coming from women. We have role models who have developed, who have garnered millions of sales in terms of putting the product services through our EU Sawan module. So in a nutshell, I think as far as being responsible agencies under the Kementerian Digital, I think we are quite proud of what we have done so far, and we are still open to any kind of program that will empower women in the field of digital economy. Thank you.
Thank you, Cik Wan. So, we women, we are creative, Cik Wan. We always think out of the box. We have so many different ways to view every matter. Okay, so that's the end of round 2. Still okay? Alright, still with us. Okay, so we shall now proceed to our last round, our third round. So we shall begin with Prof. Yusof, Dr. Yusof. Okay, in your opinion, what are the key areas of research and development needed to advance the use of AI in cybersecurity, or maybe the research gap about AI in cybersecurity? So if anyone here wants to do PhD under Dr. Yusof, this is the research gap or the areas that you could think of. Okay, silakan Dr.
Thank you, moderator. So I think the first area is AI for IoT security. We currently move to IoT with 5G technology, so we try to propose a smart city, smart home, and etc. So I think with spread of IoT, Internet of Things devices, so we need AI cybersecurity solution to design to the unique challenge of securing IoT, because maybe in this area we focus on developing lightweight algorithm, because IoT device is so the memory in IoT is so kecil, kecil. So we need more lightweight algorithm how to store in IoT device. Okay, so maybe there are algorithm for detecting and mitigate IoT threat. Okay, I think this is the first area. But and then mungkin we need to focus also in ethical AI in cybersecurity. So research into ethical AI framework and guideline is essential for ensure that AI cybersecurity system operate ethically, responsibly, and in accordance with the legal and regulatory environment. So maybe we focus on IoT, on ethical and AI cybersecurity, but last not least is about AI for threat intelligence. So AI can enhance the collection, analysis, and disseminate the threat intelligence by automating the process of large volume of data. As we mentioned a few times, when we're talking about threat intelligence, is involved huge of data. So we need to analyze real-time data, huge of data. So maybe another key area for research is AI for threat intelligence. Okay, thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor. So there are the potential areas of research and development for AI regarding to cybersecurity. Okay. And now we proceed to Cik Wan. Okay, from the industry and digital economy perspective, how can Malaysia leverage AI to become a leader in the global cybersecurity landscape?
I think we have spoken about the importance of AI. Then I think we have to also look into the demand side. So we have to look at the sectors that particularly requiring AI solutions, whether in the health sector, agriculture. So those are economic sectors that we have to identify upfront. What are the problem statements that can be addressed by the AI solution. So and that we do have that kind of conversation with all the sector leads to make sure that we can capture from the statements and how do we translate that statements into solutions, which means that, again, to my earlier point on building a local ecosystem, we have about 50 companies now, which has been validated to have at least AI solution that can be offered to the sector. So those are the supply demand matching that we have to put in place. And secondly is the question of how do we grow our local ecosystem. Again, I think, sorry Adila, I mentioned ChatGPT just now, I mentioned Copilot, so, but it doesn't mean that. I think if I sum up the discussion on the growth of the companies and how it blends into the guidelines, principles, we do not have to reinvent the wheel. So we can use whatever standard criteria being developed by Microsoft, like Google, and once we have our country's principles, it's about mapping that into that thing and having that two sets of standards. One is adhering to the global practices when it comes to the standard to be developed by the leaders of the AI, by the global leaders of AI, and then we put our own flavor of countries' principles into that thing, and whatever coming out from that thing will be the companies that will be adhering to both global and local sentiments and standards. So by having that kind of validation that would put our companies to the forefront, that means give a comfort to the users, whether from the sectoral leads, consumers, enterprises, to make sure that whatever AI model services being implemented, that means I'm being comforted as a user that is undergone through that thing. The concept, the need to be remote, to be responsible, to be ethical, to be adhering to the whatever guidelines that the country put in place. That means you have to pass that kind of thing. So by having that thing, that means our companies can be proud of that. So even I said earlier in terms of them serving the local domestic markets, but I think we capture the growing opportunities in the region as well. So by virtue of them being trusted by public sector, by private sector in Malaysia, we can bring them to the global regional arena to make sure that we can always bring back the best impact to the economy when it comes to creation of jobs, but having a mature ecosystem and also to make sure that we will be at the forefront of this thing. So I think in a nutshell, we have to look from industry development perspective and how do we blend into the regulatory environment and how do we bring our companies and how do we serve the market that will eventually create opportunities for our economy to grow. I think that summarizes what Astro doing and is currently doing to make sure that we want to make sure that Malaysia embrace this thing at the right pace, the right skill set, and also to make sure that we give the feedback while navigating the challenges.
Okay, thank you, Chiwon, for the insight. And then we shall proceed to Puan Elina. Okay, last question from me. We shall open to audience after this. Okay, so as you are with MyDC, My Digital Corporation, an agency who work closely with public and also private sector agencies, in your view, what role can public-private partnerships play in addressing the cybersecurity challenges posed by AI? We go back to the basis of private partnerships. Okay. So in my digital, we believe strongly on private and public partnerships. The Malaysia Center for IR is only about 1 year old, and our first project was with Microsoft actually. We launched a generative AI report on the impact on the Malaysian economy, just to address issues on, people ask questions, why would AI replace jobs and stuff like that. So when we did the study, it turns out saying no, it's still a tool. AI is still a tool. So that's one example of private partnership. And we at MyDigital, we use public and private partnership as a basis of making sure that there is a neutral platform for knowledge and also expertise to come together and support government initiatives. The
private sector actually has the intelligence, the know-how, the technological knowledge, and even on-ground feel of what's happening in the industry. So it will benefit us in terms of coming up with projects, coming up with research, or coming up with studies to support government initiatives. I think one other example of public partnership is also our AI Untuk Rakyat. We did not develop it ourselves. We had a problem statement, and this one we worked with Intel to come up with the modules and all that. And even the executive digital leadership program, again, is a private PPP. So the PPP is with Asia School of Business, which is associated with MIT Sloan. So if you attend this 3-course program, if you attend this 3-course program, you actually have access and resource from MIT Sloan directly. Lecturers from MIT Sloan will come online, and you can have their resource center. And the Malaysia Center for IR is also a PPP. When we signed with the World Economic Forum, we were part of Ministry of Economy. Now that Ministry of Digital is formed, we are now part of Ministry of Digital. Again, the Malaysia Center for IR's focus is in digital transformation and hydrogen and energy transition. So in terms of for cybersecurity, the big question is, do we have trust? For PPP to happen, there must be trust, because like Prof said, it involves a lot of data. Then there needs to be data sharing, and us being Malaysian, it's not something that we do. Even inter-agencies, we do not share data. Okay, so 2 days ago, we launched the single window for startups, KL20. That was an effort to bring all agencies that supporting the startups ecosystem to actually have this data sharing. Even that is quite difficult to get. Inter-agencies within the government, but it's the trust. So trust is very important. In terms of cybersecurity, again, data sharing is important. Research, collaborative research is an area where I think we should leverage on the private sector as well. And the other one is actually the operational, collaborative operations area where we can work together and actually see. I mean, if I'm not sure how it's done now. I think if a company is being attacked, they will probably just report to NACSA or say that we have been attacked. But would they share really open their books and tell you where all the things happening, how it's done and all that? Is it an open book or it's not? If it's an open book, then people can come together. Or perhaps this is just throwing something into the works. Perhaps all the network security centers can have an open sharing so that you can actually share information and be ahead of the threat. Because I think the threats and the penyamun, I call them, they are very smart. They are really smart people. And I'm sure some agencies even employ hackers to be part of their team, so that we can have 10-20 steps ahead of the threats.
Thank you, Wan and Nina. So basically, data sharing is one of the most crucial aspects in AI, because AI needs data. AI is nothing about without data. Okay. And trust. Data and trust. Okay. All right. So now we shall proceed to Rashida. So basically, you have mentioned before that the fundamental aspect or steps for the risk management, risk assessment is the fundamental step for any risk management for any technology, including AI. But can you elaborate more, because this question is about your personal advice and NATSA's advice on what steps can organizations take to prepare for and mitigate the potential risks of AI-powered cyber attacks.
Okay, the question is AI-powered cyber attack. Okay, we have discussed today regarding the AI, the potential, the threats, and we listened to how Dr. Yusuf mentioned specifically what are the threats that can be brought up, but at the same time, what are the opportunities that you can strengthen or harden the cybersecurity environment by leveraging on AI securely? So, the steps that the organizations need to take is, again, I'm going to say risk assessment, because that is the fundamental things which you cannot skip. But one thing that we speak about today, and sometimes when people come to NATSA and often ask me, yes, I've been doing cybersecurity for quite some time, but I'm still learning. But AI is a different game, actually. So in order for people that have been doing cybersecurity to understand AI, we also need to bring people who are expert in AI. So we listened about the importance of public-private partnership, shared responsibility. It is indeed, for you to achieve anything in cybersecurity, it needs shared responsibility. I also want to take the opportunity to thank Cik Wan for explaining in details regarding the supporting of women program, reskilling and upskilling, which MDEC has been doing, and NATSA was part of the ecosystem to understand. And one thing that we've been working with MDEC is MDEC aligned the national cybersecurity strategy with the economic part that can be leveraged by our country in terms of maximizing the opportunity of cybersecurity. That's why I think Dr. Wan has been mentioning about the opportunity about industry development and whatnot to complement this together. One thing that I also wanted to explain, and I think some of you here are very familiar with the NIST framework, which I think I've mentioned earlier about identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover, which is the fundamental language that is understood by technical people and also has been elevated at the C-suite. They also understand the importance of this thing. But now the new NIST framework talking about governance. It means it's already been out, NIST 2.0. So this is a complementary language where never have been throughout the years when we start talking about cybersecurity as an IT issue, as a support issue. Now, a fundamental framework which has been used all this while by CISO, there is a clear element of governance, meaning that if you want to give responsibility to the Chief Information Security Officer in maintaining, hardening your ecosystem, they also needs to be given a responsibility and also an authority to govern and talk straight away to the person who makes the decision in terms of hardening the environment. Allow me to just respond one thing which is very associated with the recent passing of our cybersecurity bill, and you spoke about trust, Panelina, and I think trust in cyber environment is very, very difficult to be built, but it's very easy to be built. But you can trust only after you verify. This is where you need people who understand technical and see what are the fundamental technicality and opportunity that you have in the digital world. In this regard, we talk about AI, but complement with people who understand how you want to govern things correctly, rightfully. Then you can work together, and also it needs to be governed properly throughout policy, strategy, and legislation.
Okay, thank you, Rashida. Okay, now we shall proceed to the last question for our last round for Ms. Adila from Microsoft. This is regarding the question from the second round. So, okay, from the industry perspective, do we need a specific AI Act or bill to govern safe and responsible AI adoption in Malaysia, alongside our Cybersecurity Act 2024 that has just passed Dewan Rakyat and Dewan Negara. So we know that the only AI bill or law that has been passed the Parliament is from EU. Okay, so the question is, do we need an AI Act?
Thank you. That is actually a very interesting question, and it's a live issue to be discussed right now. And before I go into it though, I really appreciate the input from all our fellow panelists. So I hope I can take some opportunity to basically add to or respond to some of what they said. So if I start with Cik Wan, I mean, Anda has been a fantastic partner in so many ways. I do want to also share that Microsoft is also helping to support that vision, right, of building a greater, more robust talent pool in cybersecurity. So we recently launched our Ready for AI and Security. We invited NAPSA to be part of that, so thank you NAPSA for your support for that as well. And that is also basically aimed at providing opportunities for TVET students to receive certifications in cybersecurity with a view to landing the employment opportunities as cybersecurity professionals. And we are focusing on women. It's open to all, but we are focusing on women, recognizing all those great qualities that Cik Wan was discussing. So yeah, so that's something that we look forward to being able to perhaps partner with more people on and grow that. And then for Dr. Yusof, thank you so much for your really, I thought, quite comprehensive and relatively easily understandable insight on how AI supports cybersecurity and what you think are the future development areas to be looked into. I just wanted to add on the generative AI, one of the things that also can be another layer added to the security capabilities of AI is how it makes it easier for the human user to monitor the AI, the security situation, the security status, where the threats are coming from, with that generative AI interface. That makes it so much easier for people to monitor. So it's AI on top of AI for security. And also Panalina, so yes, we were actually, that was one of the first things we did in the field of AI was to launch this report on the economic impact of generative AI in Malaysia, where we found that, so over and above what Cik was saying, and Cik Wan was saying on the economic impact from us developing AI and having AI companies know about that, over and above that, the study found that we did together with the Malaysia for AI Center, the study found that up to $130 billion US, or sort of like almost like more than a quarter of annual GDP of Malaysia can be unlocked by use of generative AI in our everyday work as we operate today. So without even any great economic restructuring, if all of us were to adopt the productivity gains, innovation gains from using generative AI, we could already have up to a quarter more of GDP. So that's one of the very interesting insights. But of course, to unlock that, it doesn't come automatically or magically. We have to do the skilling, we have to do the awareness, which is a lot of what my digital and tech are doing. So very appreciative for the partnership in that area. And fundamentally, now this is where I'm going to lead back to the answer. Puan Rashida's risk-based, it always has been risk-based, and this is actually the fundamental basis of managing AI risk as well. Just like in cybersecurity, it should be risk-based because AI is everywhere and we can use it in everything. But we should be focusing our resources on the highest risk situations. And this is one of the features of the new AI Act, that it pre-identifies what are the buckets of risk from minimal, high, and then there's the unacceptable risk, right? So that's one of the unique features of the new AI Act. And it is actually an underlying feature of all emerging approaches to governing and regulating AI. So Microsoft actually has come up with our own AI governance blueprint, which sets out our thoughts on what the future regulation and governance framework should look like, how it actually materializes in each country is a subject of discussion. So when your question is, do we need an AI bill or AI legislation? I think a lot more thoughtful discussion and considered research needs to be done, taking into account our entire sort of framework, where we are socio-economic wise, you know, in the maturity of our technology and capability. But at the end of the day, I think the fundamentals are the approach that we adopt should be risk-based. And one of the frameworks that I think is quite important to bear in mind, which is what we do set out in the Microsoft AI governance blueprint, is that there is a technology stack behind AI. It's not some magic floating in the air. It's based on an existing infrastructure, and the technology stack, if I can simplify it into three parts, simplify it into three parts. The bottom layer is your infrastructure. That's the data center that houses that computing capability that enables the AI. Then there's the model layer. This is where your GPT-4, your Llama, and all of these powerful models are able to run. And then the very top layer, the use cases. And that's where we basically use these models to do our customer chatbot, to do our, our analysis, our simple instructions, natural language instructions to our Excel sheets. That's the top user layer. And that's where most of us will actually interact with AI. So in terms of risk and urgency, that top layer is where a lot of existing regulation already exists. So in a sense, it just needs that considered understanding of how AI is incorporated into our existing regulated activities that are already subject to legislation, and see how that can be rationalized, and then I think participate in global debates and have a very focused internal analysis on how we would like to address the model layer and the infrastructure layer. So I would say that as a technology company, recognizing how powerful and how transformative AI is, we've actually volunteered to comply with many requirements, and we've actually volunteered some structures that we would hold ourselves to ensure that AI is essentially harnessed for benefit. And I would say, as long as we bear these in mind, I'm looking forward to the discussion to come, public-private partnership discussion to come on what form of the governance framework for AI will end up looking like in years.
Thank you, Ms. Adila. So, is the Microsoft AI blueprint available for the public?
It is, yes, it is. If anybody wants to know where to find it, please ask me later, or you can look on our website, the AI governance blueprint.
So, for AI Act to be adopted in Malaysia, there are many considerations that we should consider. One of it is the technology maturity. Okay, so that would be the end of our round 3. So now we shall open for Q&A session for the participants. So please introduce yourself, your name and where you are from. And if you have specific panel to answer your burning question, kalau tak tanya tak boleh tidur, please let us know. If not, we just random pick any panel to answer the question. So any question? Either semua faham, semua setuju, or semua nak balik, or semua nak pergi alam manda because this is hari gaji. Any question? Okay, we have one question.
The pen.
I'm Norzi from UITM. Actually, since school with Dr. Yusuf there. But my question is not for Dr. Yusuf, it's for Adila. Ms. Adila from Microsoft. Can you brief us a little bit about the initiatives that you've done for women, the certification ones that you mentioned just now? The last one that you mentioned about the programs.
Sure, thank you. So I'm glad to hear you're interested. So one of the things that we feel is that technology really is for everybody, and AI and security should be for everybody. It should be something that is a real economic opportunity and there's a real need for it throughout all the layers of the economy. So we're focusing on Tibet institutions, and we started out with two key institutions, and it is a program where we target to give skilling, training to, I would say X number first, because this is our starting numbers, so I don't want to block it, but X number first to skill. From that, we target to have a proportion of that sit for certification exams, and from that we target a proportion to be certified, and from that we target a proportion to land cybersecurity professional jobs. And we are actually actively looking for partners to help us do that final step to land those jobs, and of course looking to see the appetite and how we can scale. So very welcome partnerships and opportunities to scale this program.
Thank you, Ms. Adila. So, Mary, another question? Here we have another one.
Hello, hi. I'm Sima from Pakistan, managing secretaries. One of the questions is that how ready Malaysia when we onboard AI into our a part of our industry already onboarding AI. I mean, in terms of policy making, in terms of the controls or rules and regulations, how ready we are in combating any cybercrime cases. Even though right now we do have lots of cases, but somehow it's still a very gray area, certain cases that we are not able to resolve it. So, yeah, I would like to seek your advice. Thanks.
Maybe for Rashida? Answer the question. Answer the questions. Probably I could not cover all the entire questions that you mentioned. What I can emphasize is specifically on the new past legislations, the cybersecurity bill. If you have an opportunity to look into the bill, it is a bill that actually target in terms of raising our national cybersecurity baseline to ensure the fundamental element of risk assessment and risk-based approach to identify, protect, detect, respond and recover of the national critical information infrastructure. Why this bill focuses on the NCII is because we see that these are the assets of the government, of the private sector, that anything that happens to it will give an impact not only to that organizations that own the infrastructure, but also to the financial, to the national security, to a lot more other things that can escalate at national level. That is one in terms of raising cybersecurity baseline. Secondly, it's about the current act. When I know that my colleague here, I'm not sure whether Puan Idora, the backbone of cybersecurity bill, she's not here, I think. She has a meeting. She was here this morning. So one of the things that we embarked while we are doing the study was to see and check what other legislations out there that needs to be amended in order to make sure that the Cybersecurity Act can actually functions in its own, but as we have discussed earlier, it cannot just exist in vacuum. We need to look into our Computer Crime Act and any other acts that probably needs to be amended to ensure that we look into the current threats and the emerging threats that we are facing. And coming back to your questions regarding the crimes that we are facing, the increase of the numbers and whatnot, again, we cannot just be responsive. When things happen, we just respond, react when incidents happen. In order to build a national cybersecurity baseline, it will take time. It will need a whole of society, public-private partnerships. I need to acknowledge that we probably need to I mean, as what Wabi Gobin, who tabled that to Dewan Rakyat and Dewan Negara, he mentioned that these needs to be done earlier. So let us actually seize together in terms of implementing this act, and also see what will be throughout our journey the amendments of the acts that we need to complement. And I know that the Personal Data Protection Act, the Communication and Multimedia Act, and some other acts has been in a way studied and announced also in the pipeline to be tabled to the Parliament in terms of amendment to fit the challenges that we face in terms of cybersecurity. And in these discussions that we had today in terms of cybersecurity and AI.
Thank you, Marshida. So I think that's
about managing risk intelligently to gain the benefits.
wow, that's cool. Okay, Puan Elena.
It's about people having the right knowledge and skill sets to be able to address issues and be aware of threats.
Thank you, Cik Wan.
I think it's about adoption of AI or cybersecurity, either to address the challenges or seize the opportunities.
Oh, that's cool too. Thank you. That's it.
Okay, AI-based security solution can play an important role in protecting organization from cyber threat.
Thank you. And last but not least, Rashida.
I think it's bringing the right mind and expert in finding solutions and reap the benefit together.
Thank you. See, all my panelists semua disiplin, one line. So, berikanlah tepukan. Okay, so I shall wrap up with a quote from Stuart Russell, an AI expert. He says that AI has the potential to reform cybersecurity, but only if we ensure that it remains under human control and aligned with our values. So either it could be threats or opportunities. The one thing that we should always bear in our mind, do not let technology control us. Let us control them. And as for AI, we always emphasize on human in the loop. Okay. So I think that's the end of our panel session. So, but we have something from Puan Rashida, an announcement, a special announcement. So I think I don't want to take everyone's time, but this is, I think, truly important. This is an extension of Puan Rita, who is sitting over there. In the earlier panel, she mentioned about Astro NAXA Coding Challenges 2024, and Dr. Megat wanted to actually announce this personally, but he can't be here, as I mentioned. So I'm going to read his text, and please have a look at the screen. So what he says, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests and dear students, I'm honored to stand before you today to launch the Astro NAXA Coding Challenge 2024. As Chief Executive of National Cybersecurity Agency, I am acutely aware of the pressing need to address the growing threats posed by cyber attack in our increasingly interconnected world. Indeed, with our digital footprint expanding at unprecedented rate and the proliferations of digital platforms, the threat level continues to rise. The Astro NAXA Coding Challenge 2024 is more than just a competition. It is an opportunity for university students to showcase their coding powers in tackling the pressing issues of cybersecurity that plague our digital landscape.
I want to express my sincere gratitude to Astro for their partnership in organizing this challenge and to all those who have made this competition possible. Together, we can work to continue beefing up Malaysia's digital sovereignty for a more secure future of its people. So, I urge each and every one of our university students to seize the moment, roll up your sleeves, and join us in these fights against cyber threats. And as the Malay saying goes, bersatu kita teguh, bercerai kita roboh. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I think with this, I would warmly extend the gratitude and appreciations of Dr. Megat to each and every one of you. And I think we have come to an end of our sessions today. We appreciate your attendance, your contributions, your participations. And I will end here and I will hand over to the MC. Thank you very much.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, what an insightful and thought-provoking discussion we just experienced in the second panel session of this afternoon. Let's carry forward the knowledge and drive positive change in our communities. Thank you to our speakers for enlightening us today. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause to our moderator, Dr. Lucas Liza, and our panelists, Sharifah, Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Yusuf, Engineer Wan Murdani, Ms. Elena Roslan, and Ms. Adila Juni. And now, ladies and gentlemen, as we draw the curtains on the 2004 Women in Cyber Convention, I would like to extend our sincerest appreciation to our honorable guests for their invaluable time and contribution to today's momentous occasion. We eagerly anticipate future opportunities for collaboration and partnerships. A special thank you goes out to our event organizers from NATSA and Alpine Integrated Solutions in Durian Berhad. Our sponsors, Amazon Web Services and Microsoft Malaysia. And also everyone who worked tirelessly to ensure the success of this event. And of course, our deepest gratitude to each and every one of you for being a part of this incredible journey. I am Ashraf Sharif, your host, and it has been an absolute pleasure guiding you through today's event. On behalf of the event organizers, we wish you safe journeys and continued success in your endeavors. Looking ahead, we are excited about the upcoming CyDesk series of events 2024, the inaugural NATSA Cybersecurity Summit 2024 from 30th July to 1st August, and the Cybercrime Prevention Summit 2024 on the 8th of October, as we lead up to the third CyDesk in 2025 here in Putrajaya. Ladies and gentlemen, before we part ways, don't forget to collect your special edition Women in Cyber merchandise at the registration counter, a token of our appreciation for your presence and contribution. Lastly, we invite all distinguished guests to join us for our final networking tea at level 1. However, those planning to leave, we have prepared food provided for you on the go. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your participation. Until our path cross again, safe travels and best wishes. Goodbye and thank you.
Thank you.